going on, everybody? You are live with Osiris. Welcome to the Author's Lounge. The world is filled with storytellers, and I, along with my guests, are here today in the Author's Lounge to help educate and inspire the young generation of writers and creators. Now, my guests are professionals in publishing, writers from a wide range of formats, and successful entertainers. They will provide beneficial advice on what to do and what not to do on your path to success. So, without further ado, I'll present to you our next guest. Let's go. So let me present to you our guest who has extensive experience within the entertainment industry. Today, he comes to us as the chairman of the Storie Foundation, and I'll let him get into everything once we start conversing. But without further ado, I present to you Mr. James Timberlake. What's going on with you, man?
Hey, thank you for that introduction, man. I appreciate you having me on, and yeah, I'm excited to be here, man.
Yes, sir. So, I know we spoke a few weeks ago, right? And you gave me just a lot of insightful information. So, can you dive a little bit into what has worked for you in the industry of continuously bringing people back to the product?
Yeah, it's just kind of I'll do my best. So, I mean, it's like anything else. It's context specific. So most of the people probably that'll be listening to this are going to be authors, I assume, right? So in that context, you have a lot of I think you have a lot of opportunity, especially now, to really build a kind of relationship that a lot of larger, let's say, or flashier art forms can't really do, and we're getting there in things like film and things like that. But like authors still have the most intimate relationship with their audience in a lot of ways because it's just the nature of the medium, right? Like there's just something inherently just deeper and more personal when you're having when you're reading a letter, right? It's the same idea when you're reading a book, a well-written book. Like I'm not talking about something that's just thrown off, but like somebody that actually is a true author, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, they're writing to the one person, right, at a time that you kind of hear about this, and so because you're able to with a book, you're able to play with things like within your narrative, you're able to play with time, and you're able to break the order of things. You're able to go inside various perspectives, and you're able to explore a story from so many different angles, and do it in a way where the reader, the audience, right, is able to have multiple, like a layered experience in a way that is still ordered, in a way that is still digestible, and at their own pace, right? Because they just, if it gets too overwhelming, they just stop. If they miss something, they reread it like 15 times until they get it right, right? I mean, I don't know how many times I've taken a book where I'm like reading, and I go, oh my, I have to put it down, and I go, whew, I need to sit with that line for 3 months, and then I'll come back and finish the book, right? Because it hit me that hard. And it wasn't that it was those 6 words were particularly magical, right? It was that everything that author had done to get me to those 6 words made it so those 6 words hit me with such force that I was like, I need to fucking breathe, right? Like, I can't read any. And there's something so special about being able to come back in 3 months, pick that book up, and be right back where I was. But now, kind of like, different person, different river, right? Like, it's like now the whole world's changed, which means the same words are now different. And I'm different, so I'm going to hear them. It's like everything's different. So I could even go back and reread that same book again and get a different experience. And sure, you can get this with any art. You can get it with movies and things like that. But again, I think that the most personal and I would say easiest for a first-time storyteller to really go and just be honest and explore and have fun and like connect. Man, like there's never been a better time. And then the barrier of entry, like just get on a computer, get on your phone, go to the library. You can literally write anywhere. Just if you want to write handwriting, write it on handwriting, take a picture and have the computer turn it into a thing for you. Like there's literally any way you want to do it. And then the great thing is like for most people, you don't probably want to be a professional author, right? That's probably not going to be your main job. You just kind of probably want to build people that resonate with whatever you're saying, right? Like either your stories, whether it be your personal stories or the ones you're creating, right, in a fictional world. And man, it's so easy now. For $100, you can go out there and spin up a community, put your book out there for free on Amazon, and it's like, cool, you're an author. If you can get 1,000 people over the course of a year, boom, there you go. That you are now more successful than 99% of authors in the history of authorship, before 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like,
For sure. Oh yeah.
and
There's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
I'll keep going forever, please.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, and there's layers to it too, man. Like with even like so in the scope of being a writer, you it just I guess it totally depends on like what you wanted to write about and who you're writing to, but in like in particular about being an author, right? And writing books and trying to find a niche. Yeah, no, it can be really tricky. Even for those who are traditionally published, can still struggle. They think, hey, I got this deal, boom, I'm successful, I'm going to make it. But you still have to. There's still a large scope of you as the author that has to be responsible for your own marketing. And so, what I've learned, not even in my own experience, but learning and just talking to different people who've come onto the show, which mirrors exactly what I've learned doing it, going through the trenches, which is you be better off branding yourself, building you as something that is a representation of something versus, hey, I'm an author, I'm going to sell this book
Right.
and I hope people buy it. Like if people really really vibe with you, really connect with you, really like you as a person, they will buy whatever you sell them. But I would caution that don't lead people astray. Don't say, "Hey, I'm going to be a self help advocate," and then your book is non-fiction, is fiction, set in the fantasy world. So you want to make sure you don't lie to them. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
No, it's just, man, I got to touch on that because so few people bring that up, and I'm glad you did. So, like, I think I talked to you about on my last call. So my I guess mentor is the right word. The guy who taught me publishing, Tucker. I think we talked about him. So anyway, I was going through an exercise as part of my job, but it was also something that for me it was also a personal exercise. It was a nice kind of a dual thing where I was going through a book and we were going through this process, and so he pulled me aside as we were kind of just doing a thing, and he's like, "Oh, you're doing this for real?" Like he kind of didn't know that I was also kind of. I was like, "Yeah," I was like, and he was kind of reading through it, and he was being, he was doing his job, which was, "Oh, okay, well in that case, I'm going to treat you like any other," right? And so he turned that hat on pretty quickly. It's kind of instinctual, and so he's reading through it, and pretty quickly he's like, "Oh, this is a great book." He goes, "Too bad you can't write it." And I'm like, "What the hell can't I write it?" Like he's like, "No, it's great. It's just you haven't done any of this yet. You got to go do it before you can talk about how to do it." Right? He's like, what else is just go write a fantasy book. You could go write a fiction book, right? To your point, this is how I would do it if I was in this situation, right? And then that's cool. Then go write a fictional narrative. But if you're going to write to your point, a self-help book or whatever that hell that is, it's like, but if you haven't done it, then it's just guesswork, right? And if you have done it, you're not in an ideal world. Because this was also part of my job at one point was to take people that had done it and figure out how do I take that story and turn it into a repeatable process, right? Like that's a whole separate that's like a whole separate skill set, right? But the thing that you have to understand is it all starts from the fact that this person didn't know what the hell they were doing. And now they've somehow figured out success pretty much by accident most of the time by just pulling together other people's advice, applying it in their own situation, and then coming out the other side. And then they go, "Oh, I'm successful." And then everybody else rushes in and goes, "How the f- did you do that?" So that we can copy it step by step. And it's like, no, you missed the point then. It's not your story isn't going to look like their story. You have to take the lessons and apply them. Right, and that's why you end up seeing a lot of these leadership books all kind of sound the same because the lessons that got the people to the top are kind of all the same, right? It's just the applications that different, and sometimes this person's story and set of experiences are closer to where I am right now, so it's easier for me to see the lesson in the practical and apply it in my own life because the gap is further than, say, somebody who's in a completely different part of the world or completely different, lifestyle or goal or whatever, right? And so that's why we pick the leader that kind of resonates with us, but they kind of all say the same thing.
No, for sure. There's so much truth to what you're talking about because many people see let's who can we use it as an example like Michael Jordan, right? I think he's like world renowned. People all across the planet know who Michael Jordan is, and then you have NBA players who looked at him, want to be him, they throw number 23 on their back. No knock to LeBron, but like a lot of people put number 23 on their back and they want to live up to this expectation. Some people have a level like LeBron already came into the league with a high expectation, but most people who put that 23 on their back want to represent what Michael Jordan represented to the sport. And to the point that you're talking about, James, is that it's not about just putting that number on your back or just copying them. You need to go about it in your own way. Like me, when I built this platform in particular, right? Like there's podcasts everywhere. That's no secret. Hundreds, if not millions, of podcasts around. But what separates this one from other ones is the person behind it as the host, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you bringing different to the table that you haven't seen before? Well, I'm bringing me and I'm bringing my experiences and I'm bringing my energy and I'm bringing my truth to it. And if people vibe with it, cool. If they don't, that's cool too, but you have to go about it in a different way. I'm not doing it in the same manner that I've seen other people do it. I've taken like a similar approach with, okay, getting guests on, but what's the message behind it? And my truth is that I want to help people. I want to educate them. And I know I can't do it alone. And I know if I can get people who have actually gone through the trenches, who have done the work and put them here, it legitimizes the message. It's not a matter of, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to give marital advice to somebody that is single and never been married, or I'm not going to give parenting advice to people who've never had children. You know what I mean? So it's to your point. But I wanted to ask you, James, like given the again, I do want to talk about the Storie Foundation, but before I ask that next question, I want to ask about when you were in the entertainment industry. Are there notable people that you've worked with, and if so, who are they, and like what did you learn from them?
Well, that's a long list for two reasons. I learned a lot from a lot of people. A lot of them, I think. Okay, so let me pick two people. So probably the person. Well, who would be somebody I could name that you might know? So I had a very, very, very tiny role in David Goggins' book, but I don't really count that because I didn't work with him directly. However, I did get to work with, again, very briefly, but one shark, like from a Shark Tank. I got to work
From
with.
Shark Tank.
I got to work with one of the guest sharks, not one of the main ones. And then I got to work with the guy who introduced Comic-Con to the world.
Awesome.
And then let's see. Those are probably the biggest names that I guess that I can share that I've worked with. But so some of the people, what I learned from them though. So the reason I mentioned David Goggins isn't because I had a great, like I said, personal relationship with him. It's because of what I learned, and that was the second part of your question. And that was an interesting journey for me because when I read his book, I was reading it from a very different perspective because I was coming in helping somebody on the editing side as a kind of like a fixer, right? So I had a limited view, and I was reading it, and what I took away from it, this is opinion, a light, right? I was like, oh my gosh, this is a broken human being, right? Like that was my frame, and so it was interesting to see how the world responded to this broken human being, right? And to his credit, how he was able to leverage it, right? And I learned a lot from watching that. Kind of like, man, like what I saw as this initial reaction is like negative thing, like, but because he was vulnerable about it in a lot of ways, right? I mean, sure, we helped with that in the beginning, but like it was still him being like, hey, I look like this, but let me show you the inside looks like this, right? And that's I think to his credit, where it's like that showed that physical stamina, strength, whatever, comes from an internal place mentally, right? And that I think that's a lesson we should probably dwell on more than we do, because it's easy right now, I think more than anywhere online or whatnot, we see a lot of physical expressions of strength and success and all this, and we forget that those people usually started, and the self-made ones at least, usually started in the opposite end of that spectrum, right?
Right.
And so again, he being a great example of that. Like, if you look at even the cover, like that was the great part about that book, was the cover was like it showed the before and after and everything. So anyway, so then, but the thing I learned from the Comic-Con guy was also really interesting, which is that you could build a massive, like, you could change culture and nobody know your name. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, this guy was so cool, and this is why I don't name drop him, because it's like he kind of has built. So he did the opposite, right? He went in the direction where he's like, yeah, it's not that I'm trying to be anonymous. It's just the people who need to know me, and nobody else really needs to know me. And it was like the thing that was kind of like, you know, you have those moments where you're like, oh shit, I'm really not playing the right game. It was when I was talking to him, and he was just kind of, he's like, oh yeah, I'm in the Avengers chat. Like a group message or whatever it is, right? He's like, I have a group message. I'm like, yeah, like you know what I'm saying? Like, that's when you realize you're at the wrong level. Like when the guy's like casually mentioning that they're texting literal like gods, right? Like, these are our modern myths, you know? And I was, and I was like, oh, like there's a way to do this where it's like, okay. And it was like that, again, I saw both paths, right? And I resonated with both very differently, because I was like, oh, okay, I like this one. Like, I like working in the background. That seems like you get a lot more done. There's a lot less scrutiny. Like, it was, again, his lessons there. Yeah. But again, it was one of those things where it depended on your goal, right? One wanted to inspire the world. And in order to do that, you have to become a certain person, right? So that the world can see you and be inspired. And the other one wanted to guide those that inspire, right? Yeah. And I was like, damn, bro. Like, you know, it's like, I'm not saying one's better than the other. You need both. You need a lot more of the one than the other. And you could argue that one's, like, again, I don't think one's harder than the other either. I think it's a trade. Everything's a trade. What are you willing to trade for? And, so, like, that made me do, like, a lot of introspection, I guess. But seeing that example, those polar examples, you know. Anyway, I don't know if that answered your question at all. Hopefully.
No, that more than answered the question, because it's making me think, and I'm actually well aware of both, of what Comic Con is and who David Goggins is. And David Goggins is revered in the military, and also, just so you know, I'm in the military right now, right? And so, like, I've read his book Can't Hurt Me, and it was really good. It was such a poignant point, and the time period for which I read the book, that it spoke to me a lot. And with Comic Con, I'm a nerd, dude. Like, I grew up with some nerds. I could pull out a collection of comics right now. Like, I got this one right here, the Marvel DC. I think this is like a 1990 something edition or something like that. I got it because I was like, you know what? I wonder, because I like DC a little bit more than Marvel for different reasons. But then we got, hold on, I'm nerding out right now. And so, sorry.
No, please, I love it.
So I got the Kingdom Come. This big one. This one was a good one. I really loved the artwork. The Sandman, I couldn't really follow the Sandman. It was a little confusing, but it grew on me. And then then this one, I got this old school edition. I haven't even read it yet. This one is still in the little plastic. I don't even know what this one is about, but
I love it.
I don't know what this one is. Star Trek. This one looks 1991 edition. I don't know if you can see that. I got two more. I'll show you. Nice. That one. And this one is good, bro.
Oh yes. And then that. Oh, I love Batman. Spot. So did you? That's such an underrated classic. I love because it also, I think, it showed Batman in a more brutal way than you didn't at the time, at least when I read it as a kid. Like, it was. Yeah. I had never seen Batman in that light. And I was like, damn, you know, it was like a hardcore. But I was already a fan of Spawn, so but I love, that's a great one. The other one was when he goes after Predator, I think, at one point, and then
I haven't read that one.
Yeah, they had all those cool crossovers back in the day. But
Yeah, man. Do you have a couple
oh,
that you have on
so
you?
well, I just wanted to show you. Like, I love that you collect it. So you and my buddy of mine, Odell, he's one of my writing partners on a few things, but he would love all because he's the same. But like, so me, I collect a few things like on the wall. Like I have a few here that like
Yeah,
are signed or whatever, but
that's
in some
awesome.
cases. But I don't collect them generally speaking, but I do have a few favorites. And so like Hellboy is one of my all time favorites.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
had to get the the giant so I have I'm trying to get the whole
Yeah.
set. So it's like I
Yeah.
appreciate that you're saving the physicals, and I think
Mhm.
I don't know if I could turn this around without looking ridiculous, but I don't know if you could see my bookshelf at all there, but like,
Oh, boy.
yeah, so like I try to
Yeah.
collect the things that are important to me,
Mhm.
because I think there's something kind of special about the. No, I don't think there is. There's something special about the physical edition, especially in a world where so much digital nowadays.
Visual.
And yeah, again, I think going back to for me at least, the physical. Even I'll just use this as kind of holding it, but like it's not that the story would necessarily be any different, but there's something about holding this and feeling
Yeah.
the texture, right? And then you can kind of there's something more tangible about the physicality of it. And again, going back to authors and like modern day, how you can engage. I was talking with an author not that long ago, and one of the great opportunities people have now, right? You could release your book for free or for 99 cents or whatever, if and have max spreading, but then still offer a much more expensive, high quality physical edition, and
Hmm.
that maybe that's signed or whatever. You could do it, and so like you could still offer that for both, so that your again the people that you want to build those long term relationships have that tangible physical,
Hmm.
because there's something special to it. And then again, going back to like Comic-Con, man,
Yeah.
these are events like that's where you have as an author the opportunity to really stand out, because you could do, I mean, yeah, people do like book signings and stuff like that. They treat it like a book tour or whatever. But like for me, it goes, well, no, like if you treat it more like a creator, right, where you're like
Right.
engaging your fan, like hold your own events, right? But it doesn't have to be, hey, let me have a book signing. It's all about me. Well, why don't you invite 17 other authors that are in independent authors that are in your town, and why don't you guys all come out and do like some kind of a free, hey, we each read a chapter from our book. If you come out to the event, you pay $100. There'll be food, there'll be games, there'll be whatever,
Yeah.
and you walk out with 17 brand new books from 17 local authors you've never heard of before, right? Something like that.
Exactly.
And then, okay, sure, if you get 1,000 people to come out, like, then involve your community, like get other businesses to sponsor it. It's kind of what we were talking about before. If you treat it like a business, even a small business, right, you have so many more opportunities to have fun. And the best part about doing it locally is these are people that in many cases they'll be business owners or they'll be professionals and things like that you're gonna probably at some point, even if you don't need it to say your career, right? Like it's not like a transaction. Like
Right.
it's just at some point you're probably gonna need a doctor. And wouldn't it be cool if your doctor already knew who you were and you were already friends,
Exactly.
because like, and they're like, oh my gosh, like I resonated with the things in your book. It's like, well, that's the person I want working on my heart. The person that read it
Mhm.
and understands it. In
Right.
both levels, right? So it's little stuff like that. I think the intangibles that people don't necessarily, unless you're shooting for being that kind of global example. That's not most people. You don't want that life. Most people don't want that
Right.
life. It's not, it's too heavy. I fucking don't want it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I've seen
Yeah.
the toll. And so, but man, there is something cool about being the guy that everybody in your town knows. You know what I mean? It is kind of cool
Yeah,
being
for sure.
that the lady that when all the kids come to, because or whatever. It is kind of cool when you're like, oh hey, I got to fly out to so and so because I'm meeting with these people that everybody knows and you didn't know that I knew. Like those little things, they could be fun.
Yeah.
But it's like you don't build your life around that. Like those are bonuses, right? Like anyway.
Exactly. That's exactly what I agree with as well. That those are the little incentives that you don't ask for, but you get it anyway because you put the work in. And whether or not you want to be the person that's in front of the camera or behind it, I think there's a lot to be said about power behind or being literally in the shadows. But you have so much power. It's like
Huh.
the people might resonate with the person in front of the camera, but the person in front of the camera is really wanting the respect of the person behind it, and so it just, I guess it just depends on really what the person, what do they want. Some people like the idea of both, being in front or behind. But I think regardless of what the message is, you got to build some sort of credibility and character around yourself. The guy who founded Comic Con, that is such a it's such a global sensation in what it represents. And knowing that there's an event like that that other people made their own versions of,
Mm-hmm.
whether I can't even name them from the top of my head, but there are definitely duplicates. People who were inspired by it, and you don't even, not you, and the person, they don't even know. Like, the person who did it could be sitting right next to you, but they're so humble and they're so in the dark because they don't want people to know that they're like, oh yeah, yeah, this is a nice event,
You
and
know,
then they're headed like, yeah. Oh, go ahead, go ahead,
no,
go
I
ahead,
was
go
gonna say,
ahead.
you know what's funny is it's I even messed up because he invented, was it, I think the first one was Awesome Con, if I remember my memory. It wasn't even Comic Con. My point is Comic Con, like the big one that everybody knows now. That was actually the copy, not the original. So it was that. That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
okay.
My point is I'm trying to say your point is so valid that it even me knowing the story I forgot. Like I can't even remember the original because it was surpassed by
Mhm.
the. But that's how good of an idea it was, and the thing is he still gets all the benefits, right? Like that's what's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, keep
That's
going. I was
awesome.
just saying your point was bigger than you even realized.
Oh yeah, no, no, for sure. Oh, well, okay. So I'll ask you just a couple more questions before I let you get out of here. But the other one is so Story Foundation.
Hmm.
I know that we introduced you. You know, you're the chairman of it. So I know you talked to me about what it represents. Pretty much, it just culminates storytellers or creatives into one hub for you to be able to push them out and get them on the right track to be able to create something artistic, not necessarily a studio, but one that is in connections with studios to get these storytellers to get their stories told. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, man, that's really good. That's pretty close. Like the way, one way to look at it would be like an IP incubator that
I
focuses
see.
on developing the creator slash IP owner, right, as an
Mm,
individual. So we focus on the human being. We invest in the human being, understanding that true storytellers are going to have multiple stories. Like there's a difference between somebody with a story and a storyteller, right? And the
yeah.
difference is a person with a story probably lived an experience, or they had some type of a wound that they're trying to heal, something like that. But they have a story, and it's their story that they must tell in a certain way, right? And
Mm,
and you see this all the time, right? Like great examples. But then there's storytellers. Storytellers are people that have an unending supply of story. Like they create worlds, and then within those worlds, they build out an unending amount of like side lives to fill that world, and then they do all that, and then they go, that's not enough. Let me build 17 more, right? And so,
yeah.
like, they'll use the same frameworks to create this infinite kind of scalability. And these people, again, you can see both examples, but somebody who's a storyteller in, say, film and television is going to be somebody whose name is going to be like Shonda Rhimes is a good example of a storyteller, right?
She's awesome,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Right. As opposed to somebody who has a story that gets made into a film that is really, really poignant, but isn't necessarily like, but then they never do anything else, right? It's like they had a story. And so we don't work with people that have a story anymore. That was kind of what I used to do, like when I was talking about with the guy. And that was, again, I learned a lot from it. But now, like just for me personally, and some of the things we were talking about, like where do I want to go? Like what do I want to do? What kind of life? So it's like, it just kind of made more sense for me to invest more time with storytellers, right? Because that's the kind of work I
Okay.
enjoy. It allows me to work at a higher level, where now, like you said, I get to work with studios and things. So I have less conversations that are longer. I like that personally better,
Yeah.
right? The how do I say this? There's less consistency in that, you're not like you're not like a creator that's trying to build like a monthly thing. You're not like a writer that's getting like a salary. However, when you get paid, it's massive, right? So it's again, it's a trade off. What kind of life do you want? And we balance that because we had some, my past work allowed us to put some savings aside and kind of build some structure there, and then, we have a. So it's like you have to, like I said, find those balances, but it's all about deciding, okay, well, what type of work do you want to do? And for story, I needed, I found a few other people in the industry through that were seeing similar issues. Like, in the way we looked at it was like, okay, the trends that we saw in publishing 15 years ago, and music 10 years ago is in film now, right? And all of it is being accelerated by AI, right? For quote unquote. And so like these systems, even today, literally today, Google released Flow, right? Which is the new video editor designed specifically for filmmakers that basically, if it works as, I'm going to test it later, but as if it works as they say, it's going to get rid of everything from potentially, your first script, like your script writers, all the way to your storyboarders, right? Everybody that's in that development process can be now condensed down. And so that's what we're seeing, where it's like, if you're a storyteller, you need to quickly become a producer / IP. You need to start thinking like an owner, right? Because this idea, this employee mentality, that's going away, right? Like there's just no more, what am I trying to say? Like human labor is becoming less and less and less valuable. And that's a trend that's going to continue, right? Human creativity, however, for now in the immediate future, however, seems to be heading in the right direction, because as amazing as all of these AI systems are, they're not great at intentional novelty, right?
Yeah.
They're really good at synthesizing the opinion of humanity into a concise format, right? Like it's really cool about doing that. But what it's not great at doing is creating a cohesive story that conveys a lived human experience, because it doesn't have emotion, it doesn't know emotion. It's everything is out. You know what I'm saying? It can't.
Right.
Because and so until you go through an experience you've never been through and have experienced the emotions of that event, right? Like that's what creates the unique perspective that we resonate to, whether it's a film, a book, a song, it doesn't matter. What do we resonate with? We resonate with that unique perspective of a universal expression, or a universal experience rather.
Exactly.
And that's something that computers as of now can't experience. They can only document, synthesize, and
Exactly.
so anyway, I digress. I don't even know what the point of that was, other than to say, you have to start thinking differently. It's no longer your skill that's going to make you stand out, right? You got to think about it like a brand business owner. So anyway.
Exactly. No, that's a great point. You know what? I think I'm gonna end it on that point right there. So, look, man, it's been really awesome, dude. I really enjoyed nerding out with you too. It was that part was fun, and this is the insightful information. But I think the biggest takeaway for those who are listening is to really focus on branding yourself. Especially if you're just a writer, you have to find creative ways that make you stand out. People don't really know writers. They see the name on the book, and unless they're like Stephen King, who has tons of movies affiliated with his name, it's going to be a hard sell if you're trying to sell your book. So I would encourage to find an additional thing that you're really good at that encompasses a creative way. Me, I'm a writer, right? And I'm doing this not to specifically say, you know what, this is going to make people buy my books. No, 'cause I have a genuine message behind it. If people happen to buy my material, or they go and see movies that I screenwrite, cool. That's a good incentive behind it. But for me, I needed to find a way that could get me to say I still want to connect with people, but I still want to connect with people in the masses, aside from just writing. So let me do something in addition to that, which is this. And so people need to find like what their creative version of what this is. It doesn't necessarily have to be a podcast, but something. Maybe you want to engage with your audience, and maybe you want to put polls on your social media or something that you're engaging with them on, because in between books, or in between scripts, or in between projects, it's radio silent and people forget about you. So you got to continuously put yourself out there, man. And yeah, I'm ending on that, man. Hey, any closing remarks before I let you go?
Yeah, just go out there and, you owe God a good story. Go out there and either live it or write it. How's that?
I like it. Yes, sir. Hey, thank you so much. Hey, thank you all again for taking the time out of your day to tune into today's episode. Man, James, you've been awesome, man. I'm definitely going to continue to stay in touch, and I'm going to nerd out with you some more. But hey, you all take care, and I'll catch you next time.